Hey guys, what's up? Chef Hamill here, and today I am going to show you how to make absolutely delicious, easy, and healthy Vietnamese summer rolls. I recently posted a picture on my social media accounts of some Vietnamese summer rolls that I made the other day, and I got a really positive response, and some people asked me to do a video on it, and so here I am. For those of you who may not know what a summer roll is, it is similar to a spring roll, but it is not deep fried. So the skin, or the outer wrapper, is made from rice paper. I in particularly use these, which I purchased at the Oriental grocery store on 347 in Stony Brook. But of course, you might not be able to go there now because of the quarantine. So they are on Amazon. I checked earlier this morning, and there's different price points depending on the quantity that you're looking for. But here are some differences between spring rolls and summer rolls. So summer rolls are made with this rice paper wrapper, which is made with rice flour, whereas spring rolls are typically made from a wheat flour wrapper. Spring rolls are fried, where summer rolls are going to be eaten fresh. So sometimes summer rolls are also called salad rolls because of that freshness. Typically it is filled with fresh raw vegetables, which we have here. So the first thing we need to do is finish kind of cutting up all of our fillings for the summer rolls. So I have some kale here. I have some watercress, which I just happen to have in my fridge, and it's kind of sort of on its way out, so that's something I definitely want to use up. Plus, watercress is one of the most nutrient-dense greens there are. It has so many antioxidants and nutrients in it, so it's definitely something you should look into if you've never tasted it before. It is kind of similar to arugula in taste in that it has that kind of peppery flavor, so it is absolutely delicious. I have some cucumbers, some watermelon radish, and some carrots, which I'm going to cut up a little bit more of each. I have some cilantro, which I'm trying to kind of use up because it's also looking a little sad. I also have some shrimp that I poached. This is optional, but a lot of times summer rolls do have shrimp in them. So I'm going to add some in for a little something something. I have some rice noodles, which I just quickly cooked. Depending on the type that you purchase, you may have to either soak them in warm water, or these were actually boiled for about 3 minutes. So these are gluten-free because they are made with rice flour. This is the kind that I'm using today, which I just found in my regular supermarket. I also have some red and green cabbage, which I'm going to use up as well. So all of these are going to be eaten raw, which is kind of the point of the summer roll, which is why it is so fresh. So it's important that we kind of cut all of these really small and really finely, one, so it is easier to wrap up the rice paper roll, and two, because it's just going to be a little bit easier to eat. So like I have already done here, I started julienning, or making little match strip cuts of all of these vegetables. So I'm going to kind of show you how I do that. So I have a watermelon radish here, which I have already kind of cut some of. So what I'm just going to do is kind of cut some thin slices of this. It's so beautiful on the inside. I'm just going to do 2 slices because I kind of have a lot of fillings here, and I'm not going to be making that many. And I'm just going to very carefully make some thin slices in here. And this is called a julienne cut, which is a very thin matchstick-like cut. I'm going to place those on my plate. And anything that I don't use, I can just kind of throw in a salad later if I don't get to using all of these fillings. Next, I'm going to julienne some carrot. I just have one carrot here that I peeled. So I'm just gonna cut it in half because this is gonna be about the length of our matchstick. And I'm gonna very carefully cut off a very thin strip. And then I'm gonna place my carrot on the flat side so that it doesn't wobble on my cutting board and it makes it a little bit steadier and easier to cut. So I'm gonna cut some thin, what I call panels. And however thin you cut these are gonna be the thickness of your julienne. Now I can kind of go back and stack a few at a time and cut my thin matchsticks. Now, if you did not feel comfortable cutting your carrot into julienne because it is a little bit tricky, or you may be a novice with your knife cuts, that is totally okay. You could use a box grater to grate or shred your carrots on the larger side if you wanted to, for a safer option. So let me just cut these up. Thinner is better because you have to remember you're eating this raw, so you don't want to chew on a large chunk of raw carrot. Might be a little tricky to eat. Got that. And our last piece, do the same thing. Cut off a panel, flip it onto the flat side, and cut our panels. And you'll just go back and cut your thin strips. This is obviously the thinner side of the carrot, so you're not gonna really get as many thin strips. Beautiful. Next I have a cucumber. I already have some cut, but I'm gonna cut a little bit more. This is an English cucumber. Sometimes I think they're, I forget the other name for them. But anyway, I really like these. They usually come singularly wrapped in this plastic. They tend to have less seeds inside, and they're thinner, so they're kind of my more preferred cucumber to use. So I'm just gonna cut a little chunk off about 2-3 inches and do the same thing like I did with my carrot. I'm gonna cut one thin panel off the side, which I'm actually gonna kind of discard. It's not looking so great. And then I'm gonna place it on its flat side so it's a little bit steadier to cut. And I'm gonna cut my thin panels. You could peel your cucumber if you want. You don't have to. I kind of like leaving the dark green skin on just because it kind of gives some contrast and it makes these summer rolls look really pretty. The rice paper, as you're gonna see, is going to be very translucent, and so having different colored vegetables inside is really going to make these so gorgeous. So I'm gonna stack up a few panels at a time and cut my julienne, my nice thin strips. Oh, these are a little slippery, so just be careful of your fingers. Again, if you wanted to use the box grater, you could. But the cucumber has a lot of water in it, so if you grate it, I would maybe put it in a paper towel and squeeze out a little bit of that excess water. Because sometimes grating it tends to bring out more of that water content. All right, a few more of these. Another thing I want to mention is when you make these, they kind of can't really sit. They kind of have to be served immediately. So it's not necessarily the greatest meal to make in advance, just because the rice paper tends to dry out very quickly, or you'll see it gets very sticky. So it's kind of one of those things that's time sensitive when you make them. So just so you know. All right, so we have our radish, our carrot, and our cucumber. Let's see. Next, we need to do some cabbage. So as you can see, I'm kind of on my last legs of this cabbage, but we're just going to very thinly slice it. Again, because it is being eaten raw, and cabbage can kind of be a little bit on the tougher side, you really don't want to chew on a large, tough chunk of cabbage. And I'm not even going to cut that much just because I already have so many fillings. And any large pieces you can kind of cut in half. I'm gonna add this into my bowl over here. And then I'm gonna cut some green cabbage as well, because I have this tiny, very sad chunk, and add it right into there. I'm actually gonna choose to cut this in a kind of a non-conventional way, just because it's already the really odd slice to begin with. And I don't need much of it, again, because I have so much other stuff. So you can really add whatever fresh vegetables that you have on hand to this, which is really nice. I'm assuming that not everybody has all these ingredients, so you can kind of use your discretion and your taste to create whatever you like. But radishes are really nice in this, carrots, even if you had some celery on hand, anything that's gonna add some crunch and some texture to this. Shrimp are traditionally used, these rice noodles are traditionally used, but any sort of noodle you have would be good in this. But these are really nice because they are dietary friendly. They can be vegan if you leave out the shrimp, and they are gluten-free as well, with the rice paper wrapper and the rice noodles. I'm just gonna kind of toss that a little. So I think we have all of our fillings set. The next thing I'm going to do is I have to take the tails off of my shrimp. So I just very, very lightly poached them in some flavored water. So I added some salt and some soy sauce and some lemon juice with half a lemon into a pot of simmering water. The key to poaching anything is to make sure that the bubbles in your water or in your pot are very small, because you don't want your shrimp or whatever you're poaching to get very tough. And then I just quickly kind of shocked them in a bowl of ice. I did not add any water to my ice bath because I don't want to lose the flavor that I got from the poaching liquid on our shrimp. I'm going to take these tails off, and just to get a little bit more shrimp than I cooked, I'm actually going to slice all of these shrimp in half, and I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So I have all my tails off. I'm going to actually dump my ice water in my little garbage bowl. And I'm going to take each of my shrimp and I'm going to cut it in half down the center, almost like slicing it in half. Just be careful, of course, of your fingers and your hand. This way I can get a little bit more shrimp in each roll. And these shrimp, depending on what size shrimp you use, they can be a little bit too large anyway, and it makes it easier to wrap if they are thinner. So, beautiful. And again, anything I don't use or that's extra, I can just either save to make these tomorrow or the next day, or just throw into a really beautiful salad. So I have all of my fillings here. Now we can get to wrapping and rolling. So I have a plate right here. This is just a plastic, or a paper plate, excuse me, with some warm water. If you didn't have a paper plate like this, you could use kind of anything that has higher sides, like a pie dish or something like that. So you're going to take one of your rice paper wrappers, and you're just going to dunk it in the water. And the water is what's going to rehydrate the rice paper and soften it. And as you kind of feel the wrapper, it's going to kind of get softer a little bit at a time because it's just drinking up that water. Some people like to use hot water. I like to kind of use warm water to kind of control the absorption, because I find that hot water kind of makes it get kind of gummy. So you're going to dip your rice paper wrapper into the water, and you'll see it's starting to get soft. You don't want it to get too soft because you're going to let it drip off for a second, and it still has a little bit of sturdiness to it, I guess you can say, for lack of a better word. But it's going to absorb more water as you kind of lay it flat on your cutting board, so you don't want to over soak it. So from here, I can add whatever fillings that I want. So I'm gonna add some shrimp. I'm actually gonna add them face down so that you can see the beautiful part of the shrimp on the outside of the roll. I'm gonna add 4 pieces. Then I am going to add some cabbage. Beautiful. I'm gonna add some of my rice noodles. And I wanna add just a little bit of each filling so that I can get more vegetables in here. I'm gonna add some carrot. Some of my watermelon radish. Some cucumber. I'm gonna add some of my cilantro. And don't be afraid to get some of the stems in there of the cilantro. They all have flavor. No need to discard them. I'm gonna add a little bit of watercress and I'll leave my kale for the next roll that I do. Beautiful. Don't wanna overfill them. Then what you're gonna do is kind of like a burrito. You're gonna wrap in or fold in the sides, like so. 1, 2, and you have to be careful because the rice paper is very delicate, so you don't want to rip it. And if it does, it's not the end of the world. It's gonna be delicious regardless. You're gonna fold up the side that's closest to you, and then you're just gonna continue to roll your rice paper until you have a very beautiful little summer roll. So it is so pretty. I love them so much. And the really nice part about them is that you can really get a good view of all the fillings. And so the more colorful of ingredients you use, the better, because it's just more aesthetically pleasing. My phone's going off. All right, so I'm gonna take my next skin, my next wrapper, like so, and place that in my water. And I'm just gonna kind of go around, constantly moving it so that it absorbs the water evenly. Now, as far as dipping sauces go for this, there's a lot of different options. So I am going to post some links in the description that you can make to go along with these. Of course, you can just serve them with soy sauce if you wanted, or a wasabi mayo or a sriracha mayo, which would be delicious. But a lot of times they're served with a peanut sauce made with peanut butter, which is really, really delicious. It's kind of like a sweet and savory sauce. So I will post the recipes for that in the description along with some other recipes for these as well. So I have my rice paper. And don't feel like that you under soaked them, because as they sit here, they're going to continue to absorb the water. So again, this time I'm going to switch it up. I am going to put my watermelon radish down first to get that pretty pink color. I'm going to put my carrot on top so you get that bright magenta and that bright orange coloring. Place some of my cilantro down. I'm going to place some shrimp. Now make sure you chill the shrimp, like I said, because this is a cold dish, so you don't want it to be hot. My cabbage. Some rice noodles. And I'm going to add some kale. And I think that's going to be it for this one. Beautiful. So you're gonna fold your sides in. Be careful that your fillings don't go too close to the edge or they will kind of puncture the wrapper. Yeah. It is a little tricky, as you can see. It probably wasn't best to put the kale on last, but that's okay. You're gonna wrap up that bottom piece and roll it. Look how gorgeous. I love seeing that watermelon radish. It is just so vibrant and beautiful. And the carrot, oh my gosh, so beautiful. So I'm gonna make some more of these, and if you have any questions, please comment down below. I'm going to leave a bunch of other recipes for dipping sauces and different variations in the description as well. And thank you so much for watching.